Stronger teams, smarter plays. This is Hustle and Heart. Let's get to work.
Season Journal, Entry 16. Coach started the week with one line on the board: train for the moments you can't yet see. He said it's not about lifting weights or hitting quotas, it's about what happens between the big moments. The invisible work, reading when your brain says scroll, rethinking a habit instead of defending it, catching yourself mid-reaction and choosing better. That's growth, he said. Not a seminar, not a slogan, just quiet reps. Dana's proof. She's been sneaking in 20 minutes every morning to read Hustle and Heart, then jotting one thing she'll actually use that day. Jason's following her lead, listening to the audio on his drive and keeping a list of questions he wants to ask. The rest of us are catching on. The shop feels different, less noise, more purpose, like everyone's running their own off-season in real time. Coach calls it stacking invisible reps. Little 1% improvements that no one applauds, but everyone feels later. Maybe that's the whole point of this book and this season. Not to look like we're improving, but to become the kind of people who never stop training, even when no one's watching.
That one's powerful, Amani. There's a whole body of research on it. Carol Dweck, Stanford, she basically maps out the difference between a fixed mindset, I am what I am, and a growth mindset, I can get better through effort, feedback, and learning. I always remind clients, it's not just about the hustle, it's believing learning itself changes ability. People with a growth mindset literally engage more in the face of mess-ups. It's in the brain scans. They use errors as data and don't check out when things get hard. That's gold for anybody leading a team, especially under pressure. In the workplace, it's the person who stays coachable, takes notes instead of making excuses. Those are the people you want to be around during crunch time.
Yeah, Miles, it's funny. When I first became a crew leader, my mornings looked simple. I'd roll onto the job site early, half awake, no audience, nobody clapping, just quiet. I'd walk the site with my coffee, thinking through the day in my head. What's first? Where could this go wrong? What's going to make the client really notice? I'd picture the whole job before anyone else even showed up. I didn't realize it then, but that was practice. I was rehearsing details, checking the why behind every move, building confidence in my timing and flow. Those mornings taught me how to see a job before I touched it. So when I finally had to walk through a project with a tough client, one of those nothing's ever good enough types, I didn't freak out. I'd already run that play 100 times in my head. That quiet work built my composure. Like you said, Amani, those moments absolutely decide your ceiling.
And that lines up with what we talked about earlier in this book. All those assist stories, or the way great teams prep in spaces nobody else notices. Off-season work, invisible assists, all the small rituals, invisible, but loaded. It's about training for the moments that haven't happened yet. You never rise to the occasion, you revert to your training. That's a Navy SEAL line, but really, it applies to anyone who wants next-level results in their work or life.
So let's talk about how to actually build those invisible reps into your daily grind. There's a lot of research, but let's hit the practical stuff. First up, deliberate practice loops. Psychologist Anders Ericsson found it's less about how many hours you put in, more about the feedback loop. Pick a micro skill, like asking better clarifying questions, and give yourself a target, like 3 tries today. Get feedback, change it up, reflect. 5 minutes of this daily beats a whole day in a workshop just once in a while. Really try it. You'll see gains stack up.
Habit stacking too. James Clear says you can anchor a new habit to something you already do. After I pour my first coffee, I'll read 2 pages. Simple. Or for teams, after our huddle, we write down one thing we learned. These tiny links make it automatic, which in turn makes it sustainable. No willpower drain, no burnout.
Yeah, and don't sleep on the 1% rule. Dave Brailsford's marginal gains. You try to get 1% better in a bunch of small ways and it adds up fast. I've seen it with my crews. Like one guy starts double-checking his truck before we roll out, someone else does a 5-minute debrief. Suddenly we're shaving minutes, catching mistakes, working smoother all around.
Exactly, Jake. And let's just put a list out for folks. 10-minute tune-ups, pick a skill, practice intentionally for 10 minutes, jot down a note on what you learned. Do a feedback flash. Ask someone, what's one thing I could do better? Quick, actionable, and sometimes a little scary, but you get the most from it. Hit a mindset rewind at the end of your day. Ask yourself, what did I learn today I didn't know this morning?
For the teams listening, you can do a film room every Friday, 15 minutes, review one client call or project. No blame, just what do we all do differently next time? Or a growth huddle. Everybody shares one small win and one current experiment. When everyone's involved in the reps, progress isn't invisible for long.
And honestly, I gotta throw in, you don't have to overhaul your whole schedule either. If you're reading books like this one, treat it like going to the gym. Schedule it. Make those improvements convenient and let them compound. All right, let's hit some big names. The ones who made invisible reps their calling card. Kobe Bryant? I read this somewhere. Dude was doing 4 a.m. film study, practicing before coaches even showed up. He said every day was off-season day. The guy obsessed over reps, not just stats. That's a mindset anyone can steal. Honestly, if you stick around after practice to shoot free throws or work on your wrist shot, you get the edge.
Steph Curry's another one. His off-season, not headline stuff. Footwork, ugly drills, repetition, angles, release, boring mechanics, over and over. But that's what makes him Steph Curry. Serena Williams still takes tactical notes in her learning notebook, every game, every loss, treats mistakes as data. You see this pattern with Bill Walsh and his standard of performance checklists.
And you don't have to be an athlete to model that. For me, a morning reading ritual, 20 minutes without fail, even if it's just a couple pages. That small commitment builds the mental muscle for when life gets loud and fast. It's the grind between the highlights, right?
Yeah, that's it. Growth is the grind between the highlights. If you're listening, pick a spot in your life or your work that needs an upgrade. Could be communication, creativity, keeping your cool under fire. Just choose something. Then, design one small rep a day. Make it measurable. 3 client follow-ups, 5 minutes of reflection. Write it down. What did I practice? What did I learn?
Track your wins, not perfection, but progress. Share it with your team, your crew. Heck, throw it in the community feed if you want. It's about staying urgent. Don't wait for motivation. The only real competitive advantage is doing the work nobody else sees. Then when the pressure hits, you're ready. That's the win.
So, as we wrap, be deliberate, be consistent, let your quiet effort today become your highlight tomorrow. Talk fades, but action sticks.
Hustle and heart. Be the reason your team gets better.
Stick with it, keep building, and keep sharing. That's how we win. Catch you all in Chapter 17.
You have been listening to Hustle and Heart. Remember, champions aren't born, they're built on small daily choices.